Okay, let's call to order the meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Batavia Public Library District for March 15th, 2016. And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Roll call, please.
All right. Well, when I do this, do I do everybody? So we can note that nobody, the people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Blodgett.
Here.
Deichmann.
Here.
Von Moonen is absent. Sullivan.
Here.
Schuster here. Penders absent. And then that's it.
Okay, we have a quorum, just barely. Item 4 is comments from the audience. Any member of the...
Well, I was going to say that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joanne, President of the Friends of the Batavia Library, welcome.
Thank you. Well, I was just telling Joanne that I was reading over the notes that Daniel left me when I became president, and one of the things that it said was, in October during National Library Week, you should make a visit to the Board of Trustees meeting. So, haven't done that. So I thought, as of next month, I won't be president any longer, so I thought I'd better do that before I'm not president anymore. So I came bearing gifts, but before I give you the gift, I'm going to explain a little bit about what I'm going to give you. This past year, the Friends really focused on our face forward. And so what we have done is we've redesigned our brochure, which used to be like a tri-panel on yellow paper and just words, lots of words. So we thought maybe we'd get a little bit better reception and feedback if we did that. So 3 of us sat down and we just took our yellow trifold and X'd out everything we thought wasn't very necessary. And what we ended up with was this. So this is our new brochure. Basically, it's just a rack card that explains a little bit about what we do, and then on the back is a membership form. So I'll leave some of these here, just in case some of you aren't members. You might want to be. And then the other thing was we used to put that brochure in the new patrons bags that the library passes out. And we weren't getting much response back from that either. So what we decided to do is rather than put our kind of expensive brochures in the new patrons bags, we created bookmarks. And on the front of the bookmark are our book sale dates. And on the back of the bookmark is your gift. It's a coupon for 1 free book.
Nice.
At our book sale.
Thank you.
So, thank you. And then the other thing I want to make sure I mention before I forget is that a week from Thursday is our annual meeting. And at our annual meeting, we are having the Hicks Brothers Ukulele Group come and entertain us. So, invitation to all of you to come and join us. Thank you.
So that's March
24th.
24th. Okay.
7 o'clock.
Thank you.
You got one, right? No? Okay.
I know about it, but...
Someone in a Packers jersey, just like...
Well, we'll have to throw him out.
No, we'll keep that. Yeah, I know.
And then also, I don't know if our newsletter went out in January. So I thought I was in a copy of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And who does this newsletter normally get distributed to?
It goes to our members.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So other few things that we got done this year is we finally established our archives. Because what we found out is that over the years, I had stuff, Barbara Palmer had stuff, Daniel had stuff, and everybody was kind of accumulating things that we thought probably would be better in one location. So we have a file cabinet downstairs in our friend space now where we keep our minutes, our agendas, newspaper articles, anything that we think would be important. We also established a Dropbox, an electronic Dropbox. So we are now putting our minutes and our agendas. Yeah. I guess the only other thing I wanted to report was that this year we were able to fund the library $19,000 for their project. So
Thank you.
we thought we had a really
Thank you so much for all you guys do. It's amazing. It really is. It really is. Thank you. And who's going to be replacing you then?
Margot Cooper.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh, nice.
Yeah. so I'm still staying on. I'll be VP.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like I'm going away.
Well, let Margot know that she needs to come in and visit us in October.
I definitely, I will remind her.
I'll remind her
Like I
too.
said, it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 5, which is the consent agenda for this evening. We have minutes from February of 2016 that was just distributed here this evening. Hopefully you had a chance to take a look at that. We have expenditures from February of 2016, and we have the link budget for the coming fiscal year. Okay, would any trustee like to remove any of these items for a separate vote?
No.
Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Moved by Blodgett
Second.
and second by Schuster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
This technically requires a roll call.
okay.
All right, Blodgett,
Aye.
Deechman,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye,
Schuster, aye.
okay. Consent agenda is approved. Item 6 is approving tonight's regular agenda. Any changes? No, okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Schuster, second by Blodgett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, our agenda is approved. Item 7 is board education. The topic for today is educational programs and training opportunities for patrons.
Well, I'm sorry we didn't have this out in advance, but it's actually pretty straightforward. This is one of the requirements, is to describe current or potential collaborative efforts that have benefited or will benefit local library patrons and patrons in neighboring communities. And in the background section, I talk about the per capita grant requirements and compare this one to one from a few years ago. But in section C, discussion, I've got an inventory that I put together with the help of Stacy and Joanne to various collaborative efforts that the library is involved in. A few years ago, the library was asking for collaborative partners. We listed those with some projects attached. This time around, they wanted projects and who the partners were for those projects. So this is organized for each of these efforts. The A is the name or description of the project, and B is who the partners were, and C is some explanatory notes that we thought might be useful. So there are 29 projects that we identified, and there are more. We had quite a few different things we do with the school district or BATV that I didn't break them all out. Some of them are broken out, and this is for your review, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I think sometimes I am dismissive of some of the per capita grant requirements because it seems like it's a never-ending request for busy work from the Illinois State Library, how to regulate the 600 and odd public libraries in the state. However, this kind of exercise, I think, is useful for us to be able to reflect on some of the really interesting and great things we're doing in the community that we might have forgotten about or not always be in the forefront. So this is one of those reports that the more input I got and the more I thought about it, the more things came to mind that we're doing. So I think the more we would think about this, the more things we would find to add to the list, which is not necessary at this point. I think we've proven that we're pretty active in this.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, you could probably include the map project.
Right.
Some of that, but,
So,
it's necessary right
anyway.
now, like you said.
yeah. If you have any questions or comments, this would be the time for them.
Okay.
It's an impressive list.
Yeah, thanks, it's nice
Yeah.
to know.
Agreed. Okay. All right. Thank you, George. We will move on to item 8, which is financial reports. You have a couple things in our packet here, including our working budget. Joe, anything to highlight or report for us tonight?
I think just briefly, I've started again reviewing, as I did last month, revenues and expenses. Revenues are basically in because it's taxes. I did make some adjustments to projections for fines. As we know, those have dropped off based on policy. The other thing I want to mention is if you look down through the expenditures, you'll notice particularly adult periodicals appears to be significantly overspent. In fact, that was a reclassification error that I did, so I've corrected that. And it should have been in, what was the other category? Databases, electronic databases. So in the March reports, it'll get caught up. So I didn't want you to think that Stacy was vastly overspending periodicals. Lots of magazines, so.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah. I was like, wow, you spent that much on this.
So if there are any questions.
So it looks like we're on track regarding revenue, other than that fines and fees line item because of that automatic renewal. Okay.
Which seem to be.
Do you think that's something in the range of 20,000? That probably won't.
You know, it's really hard to tell first time
Okay.
this has occurred, so it's just kind of I think at the moment, best guess.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Any other questions for Joe? All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. Item 9, President's Report. I've got just a couple things here. First thing, I guess as of just a few minutes ago, concluded several months of talking to many Batavians about many things related to public policy, and I'm very pleased to report that when I have mentioned to people that I'm involved with the Batavia Public Library, almost universally this organization got really great reviews, and that was very heartening for me to hear. I think we've really succeeded, thanks to the great staff that we have here in really providing excellent customer service, despite being a very fiscally conservative organization. And I think that's something we should all be very proud of, and it has not gone unnoticed on our residents. So thank you to everyone for that. I guess I'll also note that since we met last, Francine did indeed submit that in writing her letter of resignation, and so I know there was some, I guess, let's say, confusion about that when we met a month ago, but we did get that in writing, and I think everyone has seen that. But we've also now publicly released a statement kind of announcing the availability of one of our trustee slots, that vacancy. So certainly for those of you who are interested, please let this organization know. I think is it on our website that we've got kind of an application process outlined there?
And we published it in both the Chronicle and the Herald.
Right, okay.
And we've had 4 inquiries and 3 letters of application so far.
And so just a quick word about our process for everyone's information. We're trying to get all applications in by March 29th. And then I think we were hoping to meet, do a special meeting, was it May 3rd?
Tuesday, May 3rd. It originally was April 19th. And I think I've heard back from nearly everybody that May 3rd is workable.
Okay.
For that night. And so now I've got to notify the candidates, one of whom is a visitor this evening.
Okay. So, okay.
Because that's normally a committee night, which turned out to be a good night for people to meet. And we need to have in May probably finance and services meetings, so we'll have those both on, at this point, both on Thursday, so we can have Tuesday evening for the interviews.
Right, okay. And I think we agreed, well, I'll skip ahead a little bit to an update from services, but we, I think, decided that at services that could be a closed session meeting on May 3rd to do those interviews, for essentially protecting the privacy of the applicants. So.
And that's what we've done in the past. Yes.
Yeah, that's consistent with previous vacancies. So that's that on the vacancy, and then Michelle had sent around a message about a National Library Week I think that's what it's called, event on April 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're going to have a library fair that day.
Yeah.
And we've invited the Friends and the Foundation and the Library Board to join us with tables and a chance to meet the public.
Good, okay.
I know the Friends are going to be there.
Okay, excellent. Well, I look forward to participating in that in some capacity, so let me know what I can do. All right, and that's it for my report. So on to item 10, good news or comments from the board. Anybody? Okay. All right. Item 11, correspondence and communications.
Nothing this evening.
Okay. Moving on to item 12, director's reports. George submitted a memo for us here.
One of our managers has been out ill, and so some of the attached reports are absent because of she was in charge of certain things, and we haven't exposed our need to have a backup plan for some of these. But so some of the reports are not, that you usually see are not here, and we'll update you next month on some of those reports. I guess the big news is that the cover story for Neighbors of Batavia in the March-April issue was the library. And the magazine did a decent job talking about the current and future of the Batavia Public Library. So I wanted to highlight that for you. And if you, I presume everybody gets that at home.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
I love the picture on the side.
great picture. Yeah, because it has your church.
It has my church. It's like, don't see much of the library.
And
but you
Diana's
see
got the library there too, that's all.
I see the library, but more of the church.
No, I know. It's actually, it's a very nice picture.
It is beautiful.
And inside has a beautiful picture of the new wall with the inscription on it and the technology petting zoo. So the photography is nice, and some of the predictions are good, and basically I thought it was a positive look at the future of libraries. So. And then Kara mentioned last month that I'd written an article for that issue, and so just I had it in here so just in case you hadn't had a chance to see it.
Yep, great.
So not much in the way of, there are several updates in the strategic planning section because there's several reports have come forward recently, and I'll leave you to look through that at your leisure. And that's my piece of it, and I think we can turn over to Joanne.
Okay. Joanne, welcome.
Good evening, thank you. Well, it is March, and we've just completed our Winter Library Club Antarctic Adventure this year. We had 148 families, 313 children, 282 adults, and had a great time. I think everybody enjoyed the activities and the variety of things that we accomplished with that, and even it's hard to see some of those cute little things go away. Our bird watching observation station was very popular, and all the penguins that are around the department. So it's very different than our summer reading club, but it's just it's a much slower pace for during the school year. We are, though, gearing up for Summer Reading Club already, and staff is working on getting sponsors and putting together our logbooks and prizes and activities and booking our events for the summer. So we're full throttle into Summer Reading Club planning already. But I did want to highlight a couple March things. This is typically a month. We finished our winter round of story times at the beginning of the month. Typically the end of the month, spring break, and there is spring break, and we have a whole week full of activities planned for students who might not be going out of town during spring break. So the March typically is the time that we do all of our summer reading club planning, or a lot of our summer reading club planning. So we don't have story times, and we don't have weekly story times per se. However, it is Dr. Seuss's birthday, so the beginning of the month we had a celebration for Dr. Seuss, and we had over 50, I believe, adults and children here that we hunted for Dr. Seuss books. We hunted for the green eggs and ham. We read stories, and of course we had birthday cake. So it was a fun afternoon of activities. This Friday night is our middle school mystery night for students in grades 6 to 8, and it goes from 6:30 till 9 o'clock Friday. This year, we're bringing back our Rick Riordan Heroes of Olympus life-size clue game. So 6 areas of the library will be decorated from different scenes from those books, and then students will be going around with camp counselors who are volunteers from Batavia High School. And they'll be trying to solve the clues, use the clues to solve the mysteries of the game. We have 25 students already registered. We have a few more spots left, so if we have anybody who's still interested, between now and Thursday is our last day for registration to participate in that. For the first time this year, we're actually participating in the Main Street Egg Hop. That will be the end, March 26th, the Saturday before Easter. This is about the second or third year that I believe that Main Street is doing this activity down on the Riverwalk. And Amy Hong, one of our youth services assistants, will be doing a short little story time at 10:30 in the morning down there. So hopefully the weather's good, and we're kind of wedged in between a couple of the egg hunting. So hopefully she'll have a nice crowd down there for story time, and hopefully it'll be a nice event. And just the last thing I want to mention tonight, I mentioned it in my board report, and we are very sorry to be losing Allison Blates, our youth services librarian and school liaison. If you know Allison, you know she's very enthusiastic, she's very dynamic, she's very passionate about library services and children and reading. But she and her husband are making a move, and so this is just not going to work for her to stay here with us. So we're going to be very sorry to see her go. We have her until the middle of April, and Lee and I are collecting. We have gotten quite a few resumes and inquiries to that position, and we're going to be reviewing those, and hopefully we'll be able to start interviews soon. But Allison's a hard person to replace. But I'm sure we'll put our best foot forward and see where we go from there. But Allison's been a great staff member, and we've enjoyed having her. So
was Allison at the that reading at
Celebration
Christmas
of
tree
Lights?
lighting ceremony? Yeah,
She stepped in for me this year.
Yeah.
I was on vacation, so yes, Allison.
She did a nice job at that event.
Yeah.
Very enthusiastic.
Very enthusiastic and very steps easily into all kinds of things like that. Allison initiated our middle school advisory council. That was a new thing that came on board with her. She changed up our book discussions into, we have our Any Book Club, and she's got a following of students that come for that. And so she was willing to, this was her first full-time library job after library school, and she embraced it and just brought a lot of new ideas and very good things. So
Well, I know that Ms. Hart will miss her as well over the summer, so I'm
Yes.
looking for, I hope we have someone to replace her.
Yeah.
Because that's a really important program for those kids, and she really did a great job with them, so.
Yeah, we're keeping all those programs, you know, certainly going, and who goes to do it, it will still be figured out between now and then. But yeah, that was another great thing that she easily did. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Stacy, welcome.
Thank you. Few items. Winter Library Club for adults and teens. We had 69 participants, and those participants read a total of 675 books. These are some big readers over the winter time, so we thank all those who participated. I also wanted to highlight a really neat collaborative project that just concluded recently. We worked with BATV, and we want to thank them very much for their help to get all of the back issues or all of the back episodes of Books Between Bites that have been filmed and recorded by BATV. They're now available on DVD to be checked out here at the library. A library volunteer, Tom Pottle, went over to BATV, spent hours duplicating them, and BATV provided all of the materials for us free of charge. And then Carrie helped her catalog them. So they're findable in the catalog if you just look up Books Between Bites, limit to DVD, and you'll get a list of the 158. And moving forward, BATV has agreed very kindly to send us over the new DVDs of each new forthcoming Books Between Bites presentation. So that'll be an ongoing project with their help. So that's something that occasionally patrons will come in and they'll ask if we have those presentations, and now we can say, yes, we absolutely do have every single one that was ever captured. So.
That's a good proviso, because not everyone is recorded.
Right.
Some of the speakers don't get permission for recording, or there's maybe a technical glitch and didn't get recorded. And some of them just couldn't be found because the program goes back, 10 years here, or slightly more, and then another 10 or 12 years prior to here. So we do have a lot of tapes from when it was at the Methodist Church, so we have quite an interesting set, including some rather prominent historical figures, I think. Senator Paul Simon is one that spoke.
A nice array. So those are now available. I also just wanted to mention One Book, One Batavia 2016 is wrapping up. Our final program takes place this Thursday night, 7 o'clock, the Old Time Radio Show. We want to thank the Friends for sponsoring One Book, One Batavia again this year. And we had a wonderful turnout for our new Lyceum lecture that tied into the series, Footprints of the Hound. Had 190 people in attendance for a wonderful lecture that night. So we're pleased that went so well. So, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Stacy.
Doug, can I just jump in one more time?
Sure.
Sorry I forgot or hesitate, or that the Friends is once again a big sponsor of our Winter Library Club as well. They really fund most of the program. They give us coupons that everyone who participates in the club gets a book out of their book sale. And they support Summer Reading Club too, but are a major sponsor for Winter Library Club. So thank you.
Thank you.
In fact, they're the founding sponsor of the Winter Library Club, and so starting next year, talking to Michelle, we're going to still designate the Friends as the founding sponsors.
Okay.
To recognize your annual.
All right. Okay, item 13, committee reports. Andrew, do you have anything on facilities?
Yes, we have, the landscape services is a separate item we'll cover under item 14. Otherwise, the site work components, George, I apologize, you sent me an email on the punch list walk, or punch walk. Where are we on that?
Practically everything is done on the punch list, so we're very, very close to being able to wrap up the whole project. So.
With the exception of grass and such, was just to wait for April. I think April 15th is probably the first day they can plant
They've got
seed.
some landscape work they're committed to complete
Okay.
where they disturbed our property, but the columns seem to be done. There was a little touch-up that they were doing or need to do, but it's almost nothing left to do. So
Excellent.
that the never-ending construction project will soon have an ending.
Excellent, all right. all I have.
Okay. That's good news. That's finally coming to a successful conclusion. All right, 13D is Services Committee. We did meet in March. A couple of items that we discussed. Number one, that process for filling the trustee vacancy. We had, and then a couple of staff reports, one about, both related to our strategic plan. One was kind of an internal decision-making process. The staff participated in, I guess, maybe you could call it a continuing education initiative, and the name of the
Getting things done.
Getting things done, right? So using that as that system as a guide, they've really, I guess, streamlined and improved the way that they work interdepartmentally and up and down the food chain, so to speak. So seems like a very positive development there. And then we also talked about another strategic plan concept that was brought to the staff level, which was the idea of a welcome desk to be perhaps located sort of near the front entrance of our library. And for a variety of reasons, staff recommended to not pursue that any further. And we on the committee at least concurred with that decision. So if anyone wants to follow up with that, we can talk about that now, or if you're comfortable with that recommendation, we can just move on. Any questions about services? Okay. 13E is the Library Foundation. Kara, anything to report there?
At the last meeting, we approved financially supporting the Red Cross babysitting activity workshop for the summer, and we were continuing to work on the raising funds to get the maps these are fixed up. So anyway, so that's what we're working on. And George, did you submit the grant?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. So to the.
Do we want to say that?
No, I guess we don't. Okay. All right. Anywho,
Several grants.
so we're working on several grants.
Have been submitted to various funding organizations.
Yes, we won't name any. And yeah, so that's what we're working on. Oh yeah, what about the dogs? Do you want to mention that?
Probably not yet.
Okay. Yeah, I have nothing else to report that can be officially reported on that.
Okay.
All kinds of teasers.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Very secret.
What is she
right?
talking about? Stay tuned.
Okay, a very secretive report from Kara. Thank you. All right, and we can't offer any questions about
please
that
don't.
either, because she won't
It's
answer.
gonna get worse. Okay.
All right.
There's several projects that are in process.
Yes, in motion. Yes.
Okay. Now 13F is the Friends.
Rich gave me a report.
Okay.
He actually sent me a written report. He says, at the last Friends meeting, it was announced that Linda Rohr would be taking over the responsibility for the regular book sales. Her first Saturday in this position netted $1,060.90, which is really a good book sale day. Over the next 6 months, the Friends will examine taking credit card payments for books purchased at the book sale. Currently, only cash and checks are accepted. There are currently 62 members, of which 7 are new, 37 are paid renewals, and there are 18 who have not yet paid their renewals. So we're working on that. And another mailing will take place to the unpaid members. And this will also include notice of the annual meeting on March 24th, which everybody should attend.
Okay. All right, thank you to Rich in absentia, I guess. 13G is Link. We did have the Link budget for our approval. Anything else there?
The Franklin Park is wrapping up its membership in Link. I'm not sure if it's the exact last day, but essentially it's, leaving Link and joining a consortium called SWAN. So the Link membership is down to 8 libraries, probably May 1st. I think that's when the new fiscal year begins for Link. And our meeting this time was in Bloomingdale, and the annual performance appraisal process for Carol, the consortium manager, began with a discussion of goals for the coming year. And we also, the board has received a new proposed set of bylaws that they assigned that to me, and I submitted my report. I'm happy to say that that project is done, and that vote will take place in April because there has to be an advance notice according to the current bylaws. And then the other thing that was very interesting after the meeting was that Bloomingdale, over the last 2 years or so, has been converting its collection to a radio frequency ID system for several reasons, both for collection security and for checking things in and out. And it's a somewhat expensive and cumbersome process because in addition to the barcodes that are on every book, that will continue to be on every book, they put about a 1-inch square RFID tag, they're called, inside each book. The location of which has to vary slightly over any given number of books so that they don't interfere with one another, which I thought was an interesting thing to learn. But they've, since their whole collection, or nearly their whole collection, has been converted to RFID, they have remodeled their circulation services workroom so that people coming in the library can return books through a slot next to the checkout desk, and it will check things in and sort them into, they've got a 5-bin system, so it'll sort things. You put it in there, it checks it in, and the conveyor belt kicks in, and it goes down, and it pushes it to the right or the left.
Wow.
They don't have, like us, they don't have a building that is suitable for an outside book return like that, because there's no access to their circulation department, just like there isn't for us from the outside. But they do it from the inside, which we in fact would have access to in the future. RFID is in our technology plan. There's a healthy cost to converting, putting tags in 1 to 200,000 items. And it's not necessarily one tag per item, like every DVD and CD has a tag for the case and a tag for each disc, because when something is returned, it will recognize whether a disc is missing and kick it into a separate, treble bin. So it was a very interesting little demonstration. They've got new self-check machines that operate with the RFID technology as well. They have 2 of those near their checkout desk, and it's a snapshot of something that, over the next several years that we could look at and perhaps budget for. We're not quite there yet, but if you're ever over in the Bloomingdale area, I would pop in and take a look at this little system. You basically press a button and a door opens up. We could do something like that in our drive-up return, actually. And then it only takes 1 book at a time because of the way they sort things. So you basically set a book down, it sucks it in, and you set another book down, and it sucks it into the slot, and then the door closes, and you can get a receipt or not, but the receipt tells you all the items that were returned. So if someone wants to have a record that they in fact returned. So it's a very interesting system, new technology. Not a lot of libraries are using this, and those that are using it in different ways. Wheaton has their outside book drop, can accept these because of the way the building is designed. Elgin's new branch uses this technology. So a little interesting snapshot of the future. It doesn't replace people at the checkout desk, but it does create some efficiencies, for checking things in and such. So the person doesn't want to deal with the technology, a staff member, just like with our self-service holds, a staff member there will take the items and and send them, through the process on the staff side. But a lot of people, I think, like to use it. It's something sort of interesting and fun, I think, for the patrons at this point. So that was an interesting little tour we got after the lake meeting. So that's my report.
What do you think that system cost?
I think they spent for everything, the tagging, and I have no idea what kind of staff hours were involved in tagging all those things. But the out-of-pocket expense with the 2 new self-checks and the equipment and the remodeling and everything else had to be, I'm guessing, 6 figures, in the 6 figures. I don't see how they could have avoided having, the self-check machines alone were, $25,000 to $35,000 probably. I didn't ask that question specifically, but I remember what ours cost. With our 2 new ones here cost $60,000 several years ago, and they do not use RFID and don't have some of the same bells and whistles. So they spent some money. They spread it out over several fiscal years. They planned hard, for this. And
this is supposed to.
well,
the purpose is.
The purpose is better, more efficiency in checking things in. It actually speeds up the process, even on the patron side. If you want to use the self-check, you can actually take a stack of books and just set them there. It checks them all out at once. You don't have to do them one at a time. Now, they don't have the same kind of security system we have, so our setup wouldn't work exactly the same way. But they are converting to a security system that uses the RFID tags. So when the RFID tag is checked out, then you'll be able to go through gates. So in essence, they're replacing one system with another. So it's an interesting process. So it creates some efficiencies. It creates some for staff and ease for patrons, and it also better inventory control and those sorts of things.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then 13H is BATV.
Yes. Well, if you haven't been to the BATV website lately, I would recommend it. There's a lot of podcasts on there now. One of them that might be of interest, but probably not useful at this point, was the League of Women Voters meeting, which would have been helpful for the election today, I suppose. But in the future, you're probably going to want to listen to that again, and when we get closer to the elections in November. The program called Our Underground, which goes and visits with an artist. There's a new one that's out with Rita Grenzi, and so I would really recommend if you have a chance to go onto the website and you can watch this show. So, and they have like a YouTube section too. It has a lot of the past shows that you can watch there too. So I would recommend that. That's what I have here for.
Okay, questions about BATV? All right, so item 14 is landscape services. That cover memo. Said agenda item 15, it's actually 14.
It's 14, sorry.
Okay, Andrew, do you want to lead this one?
Sure, I can start it and George can correct me.
Okay.
So we had put out a proposal for the landscaping services to complete the landscaping work that was created as part of the renovations we just did for the courtyard, putting the trees back into the planters, and also replacing the shrubs and other plantings around the facility that have died. And we've made a commitment to the city to get those replaced, and have been waiting for the appropriate time. So the time is now. George put together a pretty detailed proposal that he advertised out and had a dozen responders.
We had 12 contractors picked up the RFP.
Request for proposals, okay.
We had 3 respond.
3 with bids, okay. So we're pretty specific about what we wanted to make sure that everybody understood. It's like where the plantings are coming out by the road where we think there's a lot of salt in the soil, down to how much of each is supposed to be taken out, the fact you got to cart the dirt off or not putting it back in, things like that.
that. So pretty specific. The bids were not very close. They were roughly 10,000, 20,000, and 37,000. So had some questions about the low bidder as to whether or not they had understood the proposal. George talked to them a couple times. They did. They are paying prevailing wage, which is a requirement for this project. They understood the scope of the work. They can meet the insurance requirements and everything else. So
The proposal is actually quite detailed in terms of the plans and the required work, so.
they obviously thought it through. It looks like they've covered all their bases. I didn't see any reason to throw it out. So
No.
it's half the price of the
Talked to
people who've been
references,
doing
the
the work.
references were good.
So the recommendation from us then is to go with American Artist Landscapes Inc. And they are out of, remind me again, George?
They're actually in Geneva.
Geneva. Okay.
They moved to Geneva 5 years ago, although he's been in business for 22 years. They came to the Fox River Valley, he said, for the schools. And it's finding this a great place to work.
So why have they not, I guess we've just been using Thorn Apple?
Well, this is actually planting, new plantings. and
Okay,
So,
so it's different. I mean,
yeah, it is. It's not the annual maintenance.
Okay.
On that topic, Andrew and I have been discussing that, and we, not this year as it turned out, but we will be looking at bidding that process out in the future, because this company also does that kind of work, and this year we're going to put in lots and lots of new trees and plants. So.
Yeah, we talked briefly about next year. I think it's a little late this year to put something out for bid because we're starting to, we're going to need landscapers on site pretty soon to start doing maintenance, I'm sure. And so I think George and his staff are going to look at what it took last year, how many times they came out to try to put together a good request for proposal for annual services.
Jeff and I have been meeting to go through
Okay.
some of this information.
Kind of like when we looked at the snow removal, it's, if it's so many inches, then you bring, how often do they respond and things like that? Because for these guys, it depends on how much it rains and how much the grass is growing and all these other factors as to how often they come on site and what they do. So to try and get an idea of what the minimum requirements would be, so we can get a good proposal. But if these guys are beating Thorn Apple at installation, maybe they'll be cheaper than Thorn Apple for an annual maintenance contract. Or Thorn Apple will sharpen their pencil and we'll get a better number for all.
So who's gonna be in charge of like watering all these new plants and stuff?
Well, we actually have an
It's a good
irrigation
question.
system. We have an irrigation system on the property, and all the planters have water to them. And so we'll have, rather than spray jets, the 10 new planters up here and the one down by the book drop actually have a bubble line, so the water will actually, rather than spraying all over the place, will go right into
Just
the
grip right in there.
That's good.
And then we have around the property, with very few exceptions, we have in-ground irrigation. And so like over by the corner where the stairs are, which is where a significant number of the planters are going, and along the edge of the parking lot, we have irrigation in all those. So we'll actually have any areas that might be missing, I'll be after our crew to make sure that they monitor that and we do any special watering that we might need. So this is the work is required to be done by the end of May, and so this is a good time. It looks like it might actually be a good year for this, so we'll cross our fingers.
It just gets really hot.
Yeah, we've got shrubs, trees, grasses, and flowers, so we've got the whole, everything going on. So.
Yeah.
And preparing some beds, digging out some old soil and things like that. So.
Yeah. That'll be nice.
So then, my recommendation then is to award the contract to American Artist Landscapes.
All right. Is that a motion?
So I will make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second by Schuster. Okay. How about a roll call?
Okay. Blodgett.
Aye.
Deechman.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Schuster. Aye.
Okay. Our contract with American Artists is approved. Thank you. 15 is future agenda items. Have a memo with some upcoming issues. Anything to note there?
In a couple months, we'll be back into the budget season again, so the cycle of life continues.
All right. Okay. Questions on those? Item 16, next meetings and events. Tomorrow, Freedom of Information Day. A favorite of those who work in the public sector.
In honor of James Madison, his
Right.
birthday. Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. How about a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, second by Blodgett, all in favor?
Aye.